Okay, welcome back to Hawaii Real. I have with me David Padilla. He is the CEO, operator, owner of 5 and 7 Tactical. They do self-defense training and firearms training, correct?
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
Dave, welcome, man. Thanks for coming
All
on,
right.
bro.
Thanks for having me.
David's also used to be MMA,
Yes. Used to be.
and you were just telling me you used to call fights too, right? You used to.
That's recent.
Oh, that's
That's
recent.
recent. Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm recently calling fights. Yeah.
very cool, man. For what fight venues?
Right now it's called Trinity Sport Combat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So they recently had 2 fights on UFC Fight Pass.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you got the voice then. They must have you on there.
I don't know why they have me on there, to be honest. I don't think I'm very good at it, but
Nah, well, I mean, you're a local boy, right? From
yeah,
Hawaii,
yeah,
and-
correct,
yeah.
correct.
And you like to talk, right? I mean, you must.
Somewhat, yeah.
Well, you have a company where you're like,
I have to, correct,
you're an instructor.
correct,
All right.
correct.
So, how did that go about? How did you go about starting up the company, and what's your background prior to that?
Okay, so good question. Starting up my company, I kind of do that for my full-time job, the things that I do at my company. And one day I just said, I'm gonna help out the good citizens with what I can teach them. You know,
Mhm.
I've seen some training going on to where it was kind of substandard, and I was like, well, why don't I offer something a little better to the public? Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's how it kind of got started. Yeah.
Okay, so your background prior to doing instruction,
Yeah.
you said you instruct for the Army guys?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So I do instruction tactically for the Army here in Hawaii. I've been doing that for a while now, and it's firearms, unarmed self-defense, you name it, I'm taser instructor, OC instructor, baton instructor, the list goes on. So I develop a system to where I can teach civilians on how to protect themselves when needed, if needed, hopefully never needed, but
Right.
it's better to have, yeah.
Yeah. So you have these civilians, and you're actually teaching them from the content that you have from the military.
A lot of it, yeah. So the the position I'm in right now allows me to train with military and law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of put a mix of that together along with my martial arts experience. So I kind of have a blend of things, and that's what I teach. Yes,
That's totally cool. So you have the MMA background,
correct.
cage fighter, everything, and then
Correct.
you have like the military operator type knowledge and experience and training also.
Correct.
So you have the best of both worlds.
Correct.
Right. So where can people find you if they want to?
They got to go on my Facebook for that. 5 and 7 Tactical LLC.
And you guys host it, and you guys have a location?
We don't have a location. I'm like a what would you consider a contractor to where I rent out locations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't have my own range or anything right now, nor do I have my own gym, but I have some great places that let me use theirs. Yeah.
And you run it like a classroom setting? Like, how does that go?
Correct. So if it's a basic firearm class, we definitely have to have a few hours of classroom, more time than we actually are on the range, because it's mainly safety about with firearms. And right after that, we go down to the range and we shoot some guns.
All right, man.
Which is kind of high demand right now.
Yes, I was just going to get into that. Okay, it's like, okay, so with the virus going around, you notice like people were getting permits like crazy.
Yeah.
At the police department, the line was like around the building, not around the building, but around the front of the building. It was
Right.
super long,
Yeah.
to the point where firearms, they kind of had to taper back and shut down and do it by appointment only.
Correct.
Like you had to call and make an appointment just
Correct.
to get your firearm permit to go buy a firearm.
Correct. And from what I understand right now, they're only taking 3 appointments an hour. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
An 8-hour day. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's not
It's
a whole
much.
lot.
Correct.
So if you're not one
I
of
mean,
like 24 people, you're not
yes.
getting it that day.
Correct. And those phone lines are busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would think that guns would stop the virus. I don't know what's going on with the entire craze. You know, there's no 9mm ammo on shelves right now.
Right.
And this is not just in Hawaii. This is nationwide.
Yep.
A little bit of a panic going on, I'd say. You know,
I mean, when toilet paper starts going out and food starts going out, like people turn to what's next? Oh, well, firearms, right? You need somewhere to protect yourself.
At some point, I assume, yeah. The hope is to never to get to that,
Right.
but that's what the populace like. That's the main thinking right now, I would say.
I think a lot of these people that are trying to get firearms now, they're realizing that, okay, you're going to go stand in line at Costco for a couple hours to try to get like just the basic essentials, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bad guys, the criminals, they're not standing in line at Costco.
Yeah.
Like, where are they going to get their stuff? Yeah. They're going to come to your house. I mean, that's a thought process behind it. I don't know if it's actually, going to happen. But.
Yeah. I would say living in the Aloha State, we would probably have a lot less likelihood to that, or even just maybe small fraction, something like that. But I mean, think about some dangerous areas in our state. I'm sorry, not in our state, in our country. Mm-hmm. For sure, it's already started. Mm-hmm. It's already started. Those things already started, because you got to look at it like this. It's not necessarily that, all right, the toilet paper is out, I'm going to come and take yours. It's more like I already don't have money, and I kind of live check to check, or if I'm a criminal, whenever I get my next money, that's when I buy things. And you bought it all. The only time I could buy it, you know what I mean? So now I'm going to come and take yours. Yeah. Because I'm a bad person anyway. I don't care.
Right. Because these bad people, they'll do it in like normal times. Like they'll break into houses
during normal
times.
So if they're doing it anyway.
Right. What's to stop them from breaking into your house to grab spam?
When they're a little more hungry.
Right. It's like they're desperate for money and jewelry and stuff like that. That's why they're breaking into houses to begin with. What's to stop them from coming into your house? I don't mean to scare or fear monger people, but I'm just trying to justify why so many people are going out and buying firearms now.
Yeah. I think that's the thought process. And exactly. I don't want to scare anybody. And I tell everyone that in my classes also. I also teach a lot of active shooter training to businesses and schools and things like that. Cool. I've been doing that for a while now, before it even got like totally mainstream.
Yeah.
That's been in high demand. Every time a shooting happens, man, my phone's ring off the hook. But for sure, when I'm doing this teaching, I'm telling them I'm not here to make people afraid of anything. Don't leave here afraid. Leave here aware. Yeah. And that's basically what we're talking about right now. Just be aware of, possibility. Like let's be honest. Don't live a sheltered life. There's bad people out there. Bad happens every day. Mm-hmm. The policemen see it. They know. And you just have to be prepared. That's all. That's all I ask.
Yeah. That's all I ask too. It's like, hey, don't be like sheltered in your little bubble, thinking that the world is a safe place. It is and it isn't, right? Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so your firearms classes.
Correct.
Can you run people through our audience how to go about getting a firearm here in Hawaii? Because I know there's a lot of people that don't know. A lot of people think it's so easy to get a gun. We need stricter gun laws and yada, yada, yada. And now with the virus thing, you're seeing on social media, well, no, it's actually kind of hard to get a firearm here in Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah, those that actually gone through it, large amount of complaints, actually. Why do I have to wait a couple of weeks? The lines are long and I have to fill out all this paperwork. They're going to check all my medical history and everything. This is ridiculous, right? Then I got to, so you go to the class. Once you go to the class, you have a affidavit that you can hand in to the police department.
Okay, and that's one of your classes?
Correct, correct. So you go to a safety class or a hunter's course.
Okay.
Or a hunter's course. I don't want to say you only have to go to a safety class. You can go to a hunter's course and you go with that. You go fill out your paperwork. You turn that in. Once you turn that in, you got a 2-week wait. You wait the 2 weeks, you come back, you pick up your permit. Your permit allows you to go get the firearm. Now you get the firearm, you got to go bring it back to the station and register the firearm. And that's the process. And people complain about that. It's like, well, it's such a hassle and this and that. I don't have a problem with it. I think every state should have been doing background checks all this time. Mm-hmm. Only as of late, are they saying, oh, we need to, we need to do something. We need to do something. Taking away guns is not the answer. And that was one of their solutions. But definitely background checks. Like there were states that you walk in, you walk out with the gun that day.
You go to Walmart and buy a gun and just walk out with it.
Yeah. And then you say, well, we did a check. Well, the check was very basic. So what I teach in my active shooter class, a lot of the times the problem with active shooters mostly has been mental illness.
Right.
And so those 24-hour checks is just a basic driver's license check. You know what I mean?
It's like, have you been convicted of a felony? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Basically, you have domestic violence background.
Right. That doesn't say anything about my mental illness.
Right.
I could have been seeking help all these years, and the guy behind the counter doesn't know. I could have been taking medication for my mental illness all these years, and that doesn't come up on a basic check. Yeah. Where Hawaii has been doing that, and I'm grateful for that. Mm-hmm. And I think all states should be doing it. Yeah, it might be a little frustrating at first, but once you have your firearm, you have your firearm. Yeah. And if you're a good person, you have nothing to worry about anyway. Right. The argument is, and which is true, the bad guys don't go through that.
No, they don't. They just go to someone's trunk and
correct.
buy the stolen guns.
That's right. They have guns. Bad guys have guns, and they will.
Yeah. Okay, so someone who wants to buy a gun that doesn't have a gun here in Hawaii, has never gone through the process or anything like that, do they have to go try to get the permit first, or do they call and try to set up to attend one of the safety classes or hunter safety classes? Like what is the process to go through for someone like that?
Well, you're going to need that class in order to get the permit. Okay. So that's something they should first. Correct. They should do the class first, whether it be a hunter's course or a firearm safety course.
Is there usually a wait to get into those classes?
My classes seem to be pretty crowded, but there's so many people teaching these classes nowadays. Mm-hmm. And I assume they're all pretty good. So it doesn't really matter which one you go to, I would say. I had a person call once and told me that she lived closer to this other place that had a course from where I was having it. What makes me different?
Sure. Yeah.
So I told her, I was like, I can't answer for them because I don't know what they teach.
Right.
But I told her about my background, and I told her I take this very seriously, and I promise you when you leave, you'll know about safety in a firearm. Mm-hmm. It's not a marksmanship course, although we do some marksmanship. Mm-hmm. It's not, you're not going to leave being John Wick, although I do those classes. I also do advanced firearms.
All right.
But the firearm safety course is to instill safety about this firearm because it's never enough. And to be honest, one class is still not enough.
Right. Now that's regardless if you're going to get a handgun or a long rifle.
Correct.
Right. You have to go through that safety class.
Correct. Okay. Or a hunter's course.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a hunter's course and a safety class?
I recommend going to a safety class, but the state allows a hunter's course also. So you go to a safety class, you have hands-on with this gun, you learn a lot about guns. The hunter's course, you learn a lot about hunting.
Like tracking animals, where you can and can't hunt, that kind of deal?
where you can hunt. Okay. And things like that.
It's not really home safety kind of deal.
Right. I can speak about the hunter's course because I've gone through that.
Okay.
I haven't gone through everyone's firearm safety course, so I can't speak about theirs.
Right.
But yeah, but I also tell people that try to come to my class that you can go to a hunter's course also. I'll never turn anyone away from any other training.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Of course I'd like your business. But I believe everybody should know all the facts. And honestly, like I said, if you're going to carry a firearm, you should go to a firearms course.
Right. Like if you're going to drive a car, you should have a driver's license. You should know how to drive the car.
Sure.
So you should know how to operate your firearm. Not saying you should know how to change your oil. You shouldn't know everything about the car, but know enough to be safe with it.
Correct.
Same thing with firearms, I think.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask? Oh, the safety course. Is it a one-day class or how many days?
Okay. Yes. So we'll do 6 hours in a classroom, 2 hours on the range. Now that's on paper because we always end up like 3.5 hours on the range.
Right. Because once you get like a bunch of people onto the range, like you can't tell how long that's going to take because you might have to stay with one person and like be with that one person for longer than other people. One person might need more help and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. And then I also offer like some optional. So once they pass the mandatory required, Shooting, I offer a couple optional qualifications.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and most people tend to do those. So
Because once they start shooting, they're like, "Oh,
they
this is
wanna shoot.
fun.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
shoot more."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you get?
I get a good mixture. I get people who've shot guns before, and I get people who've never touched a gun before. Yeah, I get pretty even.
Who do you have more trouble with? And trouble, I mean like more difficulty teaching, or
People who've shot guns before.
Yeah, yeah. It's like because you got to break old habits and kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They kind of think that they know stuff, and okay, you might know something, but I'm going to teach you the right way to do it, the safer way to do it, kind of deal. Yeah, it's always hard teaching someone that doesn't know. I'm sorry, that does know stuff and trying to break them of old habits.
Correct. I mean, if they have great habits, learn everything right in the first time, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
If they learn something wrong and been doing it for years,
That's it.
we got issues.
Yeah, got to backtrack and break them of all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say you have like high standards for your class?
I would say I have some decent standards.
Yeah.
Let me get this. Okay, so like I said, it's not a marksmanship course,
Right.
but the quals that I give them is pretty tough, and I let them know these are very tough quals, because they get down on themselves. Like, don't get down on yourself. We're just trying to make you see what perfect looks like. That's all.
Oh, so you go up there, you shoot like a perfect holes and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
like,
they're like 2-inch bulls.
yeah. It's like that's me.
No, I don't
you
shoot.
Guys
I don't compare anybody to anyone else, but I do give them 2-inch bulls to shoot.
Okay.
Yeah, which is
kinda
tough.
small, yeah.
Because a silhouette is much bigger than a 2-inch bull.
Yeah.
But all they see at the time is that 2-inch bull.
Aim small, miss small.
That's right.
Yeah. I saw Patriot. That line. All right, Dave. So local boy from Hawaii.
Yeah.
From Oahu.
Correct.
All right. What high school?
I graduated from Waipahu.
Graduated.
Yeah.
Well, graduated. At least we graduated.
Yeah. I mostly went to St. Louis High School. But
And you're a football player?
Correct.
Football player at St. Louis. Okay.
Yeah.
And you were telling me before that you were strong safety. You went off to college and played a little bit of college ball?
In college, strong safety.
I'm just like, dude, how? Like, you're not that big.
No.
Must be a scrapper,
It was
man.
funny. I probably weighed a little more back then.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. Football.
So strong safety, if you guys don't know, like that's the guy in the center of the defense in the backfield that kind of plows guys,
Yeah.
hammers guys, last line of defense kind of guy.
Yeah. In high school, I was an outside linebacker.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
So college transferred to strong safety because too small for outside linebacker in college for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I stopped playing football, because like by sophomore year, like guys were getting bigger and I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like I was way smaller than I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start growing until like senior year almost.
Yeah.
So sad. I was getting plowed. I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. It was tough because it's a sport I loved, but I'm not built for it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's a thing. It's like if you don't have the genetics for football, you're not going to be successful. I mean, there's some guys like Julian Edelman, like some of those small guys, but they're receivers. They're not on defense.
Well, Sam Mills was a middle linebacker for New Orleans for a very long time.
Sam Mills, how big was he?
I believe on a good day he was 5'9".
Oh, that's small.
Yeah, and he's all pro.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, I know all the short guys. Trust me.
And I look at lacrosse like the same way, because my sons ain't gonna be that tall.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm like, where can they be successful? Oh wait, lacrosse, because lacrosse you don't really have to be tall to be successful. In fact, it doesn't necessarily help you to be tall that much. There's short guys that are really successful because they're small and they're shifty and stuff like that.
Okay. It's a tough sport too, though.
Yeah, it is. A lot of whacking with the stick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think football is way harder still. Harder on the body.
For sure.
You're not-
100, yeah. For
so many collisions, man. Anyways. But then there's MMA. You were doing MMA and you were you doing professional fights?
Yes.
For how long? How long were you doing that for?
Long time.
We said you stopped in like 2010.
Yeah. So that's about 14 years.
Dang.
13 years, something like that.
And what was your nickname?
The Tan Superman.
The Tan Superman.
Yeah.
What was your best experience fighting or going through that, being a professional fighter?
It's tough. It's tough to narrow it down. I could go on for days talking about that. Yeah, but for sure. Well, so I played park league football.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went on to high school football.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went on to college football.
Mm-hmm.
So now I graduate from college. I come home, and there's no football.
Of course, once you've done football in college, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
I went to a couple of tryouts, but when I was in college,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't fast enough for my size
Mm-hmm.
to go to the next level, and I had a back injury.
Oh,
Okay, so I had this back injury that was so severe, like just ruined my times on everything, and kind of made life kind of depressing. Going through the pain every day. So I come home and I run across an old friend, and he's like, "Hey, you want to help me? We're working on some fighting things, this and that." Okay, I guess he just started fighting at the time.
mm-hmm.
And so I did some boxing when I was young, so I have him with some boxing. You want to do some wrestling? I did some wrestling when I was young, so we do some wrestling. Now he's like locking me up in all these locks. I was like, "What the heck is this?" And he was like, "This is jiu-jitsu." And I was like, "What is that?" And then I was hooked ever since. Now, everyone around me knew I had this back injury, my family-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents are like, "What are you doing? Like, you're going to get hurt and this and that."
Sure.
With jiu-jitsu, I actually strengthen and stretch my back in ways you wouldn't in everyday life.
Right.
Because you're doing a lot of stuff on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So along with this depression I was going through, because, I always had a season. For all these years, I constantly played football every season. There's something going on, and it was very athletic, aggressive, and people cheered for you.
Right.
So something I had a void. And so MMA comes along, and man, I was hooked. That's it. That was it. Not only did I fight, but I actually ran a gym, managed a gym for at least 10 years. I'm not doing that now. I don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've done almost everything dealing with MMA. I've reffed, I've judged, and now I'm announcing, which is crazy, but whatever. Yeah. So MMA has done a lot for me in my adult life.
And now you're on a podcast, so you're like Joe.
And now I'm on a podcast.
He's a Joe Rogan up and comer, right? So what's next? Do stand up comedy?
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. So.
Nah, it's totally cool. I always look for inspirational guests. People that have gone through hard times and stuff like that have built upon that and found success.
Yeah.
So how did you go from football to MMA to firearms instruction?
Good question.
Huge difference, right?
Yeah, good question. I think it would deal probably more toward MMA. Football definitely gave me a foundation of who I am, no doubt. Especially me, like you pointed out, me being a small person playing a big man sport. You definitely build character. There's a lot of adversity.
Yep.
And so that football definitely made me who I am. So right now I have a real mixed feelings relationship with football. I actually coached high school football for a while. I've coached at St. Louis for like 4 years. Coached at McKinley for one, and Pro City High School for a couple of years. Because I believe in it to where the kids should play football, and at the same time, it's tough. It's tough to believe in something that can really hurt you bad.
Yeah.
And it is real. I've seen the effects. I've made a lot of friends through the years playing for all these teams, so I've seen a lot of the effects firsthand, what it does to people, what it can do to people. So it's tough. It's a love-hate almost with football.
Right.
But I can't deny it made me who I am. Now, as far as me getting into instruction, I would say that it's more MMA brought me into that.
Okay.
So MMA, I actually started managing and teaching at this fight gym.
Okay.
It's teaching something that I love so much, and I know something about it, so I'm teaching it. And then now all of a sudden I'm teaching at work. So I'm teaching at work, that started from MMA, I would say. And then once I started teaching at work, that's it. Like that's all I do is instruct.
But well, how'd you get into like Army instructing the Army guys?
So what happened was
Because you didn't join the military, right?
I did not join the military.
Okay.
I applied for a job with the military as a civilian.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a policeman for the military.
Okay.
Started out as a regular patrolman and all that. And there was tryouts for their reaction team.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Which was at the time was only active duty.
Right.
So the first team I've been on was the first time they introduced civilians. So once I joined this team, I'd learned a lot of cool stuff, right? So now I have this fighting background, but now I learn about gunfighting, and which is it's a whole lot the same.
What's one of the things that are the same about that?
It's still fighting.
Yeah.
It's still fighting. The projectile is just an extension of myself. You know what I mean? I have to have good fighting stances. I have to have an aggressive attitude. Gunfighters that win fights are not the guys that's running backwards. And
Was you talk about like MMA, jiu-jitsu and stuff? Jiu-jitsu especially is like a chess match, a
Yes.
physical wrestling type of chess match.
Yes.
Would you say the same thing with gunfighting?
For sure.
How so?
Especially if I'm into an extensive gunfight. So how am I going to approach this gunfight? What angles can I take? What angles can I retreat from? What firepower is going against what? What kind of armor, whatever it may be. Yeah, it's definitely a chess match. I tell you where the chess match starts. Well, this depends. I was going to say a lot of times, depending on your profession, if you're a policeman, chess match starts with your verbal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. I've seen things that could have been very ugly. We find out later this person has a firearm on them, but the way that the verbal talking went on, where everything went, communication went on, probably avoided that from escalating, and vice versa, right? Yeah, if I have terrible communication, it could have definitely escalated. But a lot of times the gunfight just starts.
Yeah.
So if I'm teaching Army guys on things like that, there's a lot of transition between regular fighting and gunfighting.
Yeah, it's a big difference with military gunfighting versus like a police officer
Correct.
gunfighting, right? Because
Yes.
military gunfighting, you're going into a gunfight.
Yes.
A lot of times you do know, and a lot of times they're the ones who are initiating it, right? Especially for like operators and stuff, like they're going in to do something. Police officers completely the opposite. You don't know that there's a gunfight coming. Like
Correct.
you do a traffic stop, and all of a sudden, boom.
Unless you're part of a team.
Unless you're part of a team,
Unless
right?
you're part of a team. So
Like SWAT teams and stuff like
Correct.
that. They're engaging. They're going in with the guns out already.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where a lot kind of overlap with military is your SWAT teams, or even just your warrant teams. Like you're just there to serve a warrant, but you got to be prepared to possibly get into a gunfight. Whereas you're, like you said, you're a normal patrol officer, not necessarily. You're kind of on the back end of that fight. You're already starting off at a disadvantage.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. I always feel like, because I always feel sad about that with especially like with January's tragedy.
Yeah.
Like those officers, they did not go there to
Correct.
engage in a gunfight.
Yeah.
Like they went there. I think the call was like a stabbing initially.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Correct.
Which, I mean, in itself is, a dangerous thing too, right? But they didn't go there intending to get into a gunfight.
Yeah.
And they ended up.
Yeah.
So there's like, I think people are thinking about that. It's like, yeah, there's no, like, what could they have done differently? I don't think there's an answer for that.
Yeah. Well, there might be people that think they have answers for it, but they weren't in that position.
No.
So, we try to take things like that and have some training value for it. But definitely don't try to quarterback that situation.
Yeah.
It's too late for that, right? That situation itself.
I mean, if we do Monday Night Quarterback, that kind of situation, it should be for a constructive purpose or a learning purpose,
Correct.
not for a critical purpose. Like, what did they do wrong?
Correct.
Or if you do like what they did wrong, like if they blatantly did something wrong, okay, that's one thing. But do it to not get down on the people, the victims, but do it to teach, future people that might engage in that kind of thing.
Yeah. So an example would be like my firearms course. So I might show some videos to where some people had some discharges that, they were very careless about.
Yeah, totally.
And people in the class like, oh, that guy's an idiot. Why did he do that? You're watching a video where it seems like it's so obvious you would never do something like that. So I let them know, like, this is not to talk about this person in a negative manner. This is for you to not make the same mistake.
Right, exactly.
Because if we don't watch this video, you possibly make that same mistake. You know what I mean? You have to bring awareness to it. More than just talk about the person.
Yeah, it's like always treat always treat the gun as if it's loaded.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not loaded. It's like treat it as if it is.
Yeah.
And like with my kids,
Yeah.
they start out with Nerf guns, right?
Okay.
I mean, they're still into the Nerf thing, but I always tell them, no, treat it like there's a dart in it. Well, there's no darts in it. It's like, treat it like there is.
Yeah.
And if you shoot someone in the face accidentally, it's not accidentally. Like, you intended to do that. You put a dart inside there, you pointed it at the, your brother's face, and you pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Like, there's no accident. Like, you didn't accidentally do that. So no, that's not cool. And there's a whole disciplinary thing if they do shoot someone accidentally in the eye. It's like, no, it's like, it wasn't an accident. All these steps that you could have done to prevent that, you didn't do this. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. And now your brother's got a dart in his eye.
Yeah.
So along those lines of Nerf, do you like paintball and airsoft, that kind of deal?
It's different. It's totally
sure,
different.
because you're not scared.
So check it out. We train with simunition a lot.
Okay.
So simunition is a lot more expensive round than paint and all.
And for all those out there, simunition is.
Yeah, your law enforcement, your military round. I guess like a paintball round, but it's not. It's more like the actual round, because we use the actual firearm, change out the barrel, and put in this cartridge. It's actually detergent inside of that cartridge, and we shoot it at each other. Okay, so it hurts. It's a reminder that a bullet will hurt, to say the least. But anyway, so we train so much to accountable for your rounds. Every round you shoot tells a story, right? So what is that story telling? Did I aim in the right place? Was this negligent? Was it good? Was it a good shoot? Every round tells a story. So I've been doing that for years. Recently, we went to go play paintball. Yeah,
They're just spray and pray.
Yeah. So I'm trying to advance, and I'm trying to advance on a position, but I'm advancing like only when he shows I'm shooting like one round at a time, and I'm getting hit. I'm like, what's going on? These guys are just shooting hundreds of rounds.
Right. It's like you're playing against people with machine guns, and they have unlimited ammunition. They don't care.
Yeah. They kept telling me, like, you're playing, you got to shoot more. I was like, so I'm so locked into being accountable for my round, and paintball is not that. No, it's not that. So it was fun, frustrating at first. It was fun, but it's totally different. It's not realistic. Don't think you're gonna play paintball and you're John Wick. Okay.
Yeah. Unless you have like a machine gun that you can roll around with.
Correct.
Have
unlimited ammo.
200 rounds.
Yeah.
And you don't care about like conserving ammunition
or anyone in the background.
Right. Because even conserving ammunition, you're in a gunfight, you want to have more ammo. That's right. As much ammo as you have. That's right. Or as you can have. Paintball, it's like, just how many rounds am I going to use this game? Yeah. Kind of deal. Okay, I'm going to carry like 200 rounds or 300 rounds during this game, use them up, and then refill during the next game, which could be like another 15 minutes later.
Right.
Like, in a gunfight, you can't do that.
No. So it was interesting, to say the least.
Different. So you still do jiu-jitsu and stuff like that?
Yep.
Nothing professional? Do you just train? Or do you coach also?
I like to travel.
Okay.
So last year I went to Spain, and in November I think I went to Amsterdam, for tournaments.
And that's for you actually fighting in the tournaments, or
it's grappling?
Okay.
It's grappling, so jiu-jitsu, grappling, gi, no gi, stuff like that.
You're not whatchamacall, commentating in those other venues?
No.
Just here?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So when you commentate, do people know who you are? Do they announce the commentators? Are you on TV or anything like that? How does that go?
Yeah. They announce who we are, and that's about it. It's not about us, it's about the fighters.
But I mean, are there like whatchamacall, like famous commentators that come on or anything like that?
For the show that I'm on?
Yeah,
No. I'm the famous one.
You're the famous one.
That's how non-famous it is.
Well, we'll get your face out there a little bit more.
Yeah.
Get you on.
No, the show I'm actually doing is it's just starting to get big, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I said, their last 2 shows were on UFC Fight Pass, so he's headed in the right direction. What they're doing, I mean, it's actually pretty cool, because we didn't have opportunities like that when I was young and fighting.
Right.
So it's great. It's great for our sport and our island, because there's good fighters here. Always has been.
Oh yes.
Always has been. I would say probably even better than they are now.
And the question has always come up, like, why? Why do these fighters, these really good fighters, come out of Hawaii, which is such a small population?
That is the question, right? So they would say like there's a fighting spirit here.
Mm-hmm.
They would say it's our history.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of.
What do you say?
There's a lot of theories behind it. I'd say it's our history.
Yeah,
it's our history. We're so close to Asia, which is heavy martial arts.
Sure.
And so we have a martial art history here that's so thick and so old that we actually started the first MMA in Hawaii. Kaju Gempo started in Pololo.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not Pololo, Palama Settlement.
Right.
And that is your first MMA. That was these professors got together and said we need to mix these martial arts. So this is decades before MMA started.
When did they start doing that?
I want to say Kaju Kempo started in the 1950s.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a while ago.
Yeah.
And that's just mixing up what kind of martial arts?
Karate, jiu-jitsu. I'm sorry, judo, kempo, and boxing. Yeah, Kaju Kempo. So they took the beginning of each martial art's name and made that name.
Now you said earlier you did some boxing?
When I was in high school.
Yeah. Where do you see like MMA versus boxing, and which one can be more successful going into the future? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, that's been the argument more so when I was fighting, because MMA was just coming up. MMA is definitely headed in the direction of boxing. I don't think boxing will go away though. So the boxing advocates, when we were coming up, were so against boxing. MMA. It was so hard to get MMA events in certain states because, I'll put it this way: UFC only had MMA since last year, 2 years ago, in New York City. New York would not allow mixed martial arts to happen in New York because it's such a heavy boxing state.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So boxing has kept MMA out for so long, but there's no stopping it. Like how after watching MMA and you're gonna go watch boxing, unless you're the science behind it, it can seem boring.
Yeah, it's like when McGregor fought what's his face, the boxing match.
Yeah.
Think of the boxer's name, Mayweather. Okay. Yeah, like everybody jumped on that and they were all excited and wanted to watch that. Yeah. Because you have this MMA star going up against a boxing star. Yeah. But then you watch the boxing match, it's like, okay, yeah, Mayweather's kind of just tapping him with his gloves, kind of deal. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of, I wanted to see him take him down and kick him or something like that.
Yeah. I was there for that fight.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. Vegas was off. It's crazy.
What did you think of that fight?
It was crazy. I actually called the round. So, thank you, Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good for me. Cause I knew, McGregor was going to come out hard and heavy, and he's probably the harder puncher, to be honest. But boxing is still a science. It's still a science. And I knew Mayweather would weather the storm and then take him out. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely saw like the cardio that Mayweather had towards the ending of the round.
Different.
Right? Yeah.
It's different.
He still had a lot of juice left.
Yeah. It's a different sport. It's different. Like people think, yeah, it's still a combat sport, but it's different.
It's like taking a football player and putting him on a rugby team.
And
like,
yeah.
So, okay, he can tackle.
Yeah.
He can run.
Yeah.
He's fast. But can he do it constantly, like back and forth? Because rugby's back and forth, right? You don't do a play and stop and do a play and stop and come off the field. Like, no, you're on the field the whole time, offense and defense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different.
It is. It is. Have you ever played rugby?
I've seen it.
I saw it and it was just like, not for me. No. I'm on pads.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like watching not US, but the rugby sevens.
Yeah.
Where they just have 7 people on a side instead of the full, 11 or 12 or something. It's a lot more open space. The US actually does really well in rugby sevens because it's open space.
It's so much running.
It is. So that's where the rugby sevens comes in. It's like, hey, we have like these athletes that grow up being like kick returners in football and stuff like that, and we give them the ball. They're gone. Like in rugby sevens, they're untouchable sometimes. And then like in regular rugby, they just kind of get convoluted and get caught up and stuff like that because you do have so many guys and you have to know how to tackle as well as just run the ball. So it's different. Yeah. So being a gun instructor and a gun guy, what is your take on like the national view of like the Second Amendment, the left versus the right? Do you have an opinion?
I try to stay out of that realm of opinions. I don't push an agenda either way. I just give facts to my students because you got to imagine I teach active shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thoughts are so different on both sides. So I teach people a gun safety course so they can have guns, and I teach active shooter classes to people who don't want anything to do with guns. But how do I deal with one if someone comes in here shooting?
Right. So the active shooter class, just to be clear, you're talking about teaching people what to do when they don't have a gun and there's an active shooter in the area? Correct.
So civilians, schools, businesses and schools. So straight civilians reacting to an active shooter situation. And most people don't want anything to do with guns. So I try not to have an opinion, but I do give facts, and a lot of the facts. So a lot of people don't have guns. They don't want there to be guns at all anywhere, and that would be great, to be honest. If we could do that, I'm all for it. I really am. And I'm a gun guy. If we could get no guns anywhere, that would be great. We'll start all over, right? We'll go back to sticks, whatever. We'll start all over. Here's the problem: it's too late. It's too late. So we look at the gun laws, and when I break down these graphs and stats and things like that, the place with the strictest gun laws have the most killings by gun. Yeah. So but they have the strictest gun laws. So what is the message being sent?
And vice versa, the places with like the most lenient gun laws have lower gun related deaths.
Yeah, to an extent, not all of them, but majority. So what is the answer, right? It's not to take away the guns from the good guys. That's not the answer. So then people will say, well, okay, then you got the other side. If everyone had guns, we wouldn't have these active shooter problems.
Right.
Okay. Well, you're talking to a gun instructor, and I've seen some things. Gun shooting is not as easy as you think it is. No,
there's some dumb people out there that should not ever have guns.
Should not have a gun. Right. And so I've been doing this for a long time. And if I'm training guys who's been around guns and training guns for a long time and still working at it, someone's just not very good at it. Maybe they haven't adopted it. They're not totally involved with that gun or whatever it may be. They're just not good at it.
Right.
So should everybody have a gun? These are guys who have been training forever. You're going to take one class and you're going to carry a gun? That's not good. That's not good.
Not for everybody.
That's
right.
not good. It's not for everybody. Policemen have been doing it for a long time. They're constantly doing it and they still make mistakes.
Yes.
So don't think you're going to go buy a gun and just because you got your concealed carry license online. I see that. You see those things online, you get your concealed carry license. Get your concealed carry license online and you're going to carry a gun and be safe. It's not going to happen. I'll tell you a story. When I was in college, I had a teammate, football teammate. His brother was in a gang, and he had a gun in his pocket. So the rival gang comes to the park. This is during one of our football seasons. Rival gang comes to a park, and he sees the gang coming. His friends run away. They get away. He goes for his gun. He shoots himself in the leg. The rival gang comes up, shoots him in the head. He's dead. So did that gun save him?
No.
That gun was definitely his demise, his own gun. That's just an example. That's just one example. There's many of them. That one because that one was close to home. You know what I mean? There's many examples like that out there. A good guy with a gun will break out a gun and shoot the wrong person. A good guy with a gun, break out a gun, cops show up. What are they to do? Like, you're not a cop. Do they shoot this good guy? They don't know he's a good guy.
Right.
So there's so many factors behind it, man. There's so many factors behind it. Should they take away the rights of people having guns? No. This is why I do these classes, for good people to protect themselves. Should people take an online class, grab a gun and carry it everywhere they go? No.
I think when it comes down to it is like, especially what we're seeing now with the virus going around and the government revamping like resources and stuff like that to the medical field, the health professional field. Yeah. Okay, when all this is said and done and over, okay, the thing with gun and gun violence is a lot of what you said. It's the education and the training. It's like getting the guns into the hands of civilians and citizens, but educating them and making sure that they have the proper training. And it doesn't have to be in depth, long drawn out training like officers do or, the military does, but at least something more than just rudimentary basic online stuff. Right? It's not enough.
No.
You do more to get your driver's license, right? You got to go through these driver safety classes and then you have to actually drive a car. Yeah. I'd be all in favor of that kind of thing, having more training and, just more education for people that want to own firearms. But once they get that training and they get those, they get that background classes and they do get their permits and stuff like that, let them buy guns. Yeah. Like once they have
for sure
everything said and done, it's like, hey,
for sure.
They went through the thing to get guns, and so let them have it.
Yeah. Bad guys have guns and they're not going anywhere.
Right. Unless you get rid of, like you said earlier, unless you get rid of guns worldwide. It's like, guys,
not gonna
guns,
happen.
you can't get rid of all guns. I'm sorry. It's like getting rid of all cars. It's like, you're not gonna stop pedestrian accidents until you get rid of all cars. Yeah. Sorry, it's just not gonna happen. And we're not getting rid of cars.
Yeah,
self-driving cars maybe.
It's funny you bring up cars. Some of the active killing overseas have been giant numbers done with cars.
Yeah,
active killing. Jumps out of the vehicle, runs over a bunch of people, jumps out of the vehicle and then starts stabbing them. Had nothing to do with guns.
Yeah.
And there's several incidents like that. We had one in New York, terrorist attack. He rents a Home Depot truck, starts running over people, kills 8 people. Are you going to get rid of cars? No.
And the argument was that, well, he needed a driver's license and insurance and all this to go get the car. It's like, okay. Okay, we can implement that kind of stuff, but bad people are going to do bad stuff.
That's right.
You're not going to stop.
That's it.
That kind of thing.
That's it. So we can argue about this both sides all day, but rights are rights, and you shouldn't take people's right to protect themselves.
Yeah, I agree, because that Second Amendment protects all the other amendments: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to gather, due process, all that stuff. All right, man. Well, thank you for coming on the show. It's been good.
Thanks for having me.
All
Time,
right.
time has flown.
Time is
Yeah.
that's what I tell everybody, man. Time just flies when you're talking story and
Yeah,
having a good time.
That's-
Everybody, David Padilla.
Yeah.
You can reach him on Facebook at 5 and 7 Tactical.
Yep. 5 and 7 Tactical LLC.
Yeah, if you have questions, reach out to him. And as always, stay happy, Hoy.
Yeah. Law.